Hey everybody, Chamia here with the Just Chamia Show, here with the lovely and super talented Marilyn Jones. Hey girl.
Thank you.
So before we get into everything, I want to ask you, what are you reading and what are you listening to?
Reading. You know, I don't do that much reading, believe it or not. I listen to old school.
Like what? Old school, like Isley Brothers, old
James
school.
Brown. I started off this morning with Making Funky, James
Hey.
Right.
Love that.
Yeah, I haven't done much reading lately.
Okay. Okay.
I might read, articles or some of the books and stuff. I haven't read a book in a minute.
Okay.
That's what you.
Okay, cool. So we're going to talk about the book in a little bit. But before we do that, tell everybody just who is Marilyn? Like, where are you from? Are you from California? A little bit about who is Marilyn.
I'm a native San Franciscan. Born and raised in San Francisco in Western Edition. We call it Fillmore.
Okay.
And who is Marilyn? I am pro-black. I'm going to say that. Hello?
All right. Do this and then do this, if you're real. Do this and then do this.
I'm very passionate about, one of my issues is I'm trying to fight the disproportionate rate of black people incarcerated. Mm-hmm. In America, in the Bay Area, it's worse than the national numbers, and it's kind of like quiet because we're supposed to be a liberal area, but it's not. It's liberal in numbers. So I'm just a person passionate about trying to do something about that.
Wonderful. I want to talk more about that, and those of you who saw, and hopefully you guys will go back and check it out because it's always there on Facebook. Just this past week I posted links to some Department of Justice statistics that show that California, Texas, and Florida are the largest incarcerators in terms of state prison populations in the country and of black men in the country. Texas, California, and Florida. You would think it would be mostly southern states, but Cali is right in there. So yeah, definitely. I'm glad that you're working and advocating for changing that. We need that. And then one of the other things we've talked about recently on the show is the passage of Proposition 47, which said that for all those many prisoners in the state of California who have gone to jail like on non-violent crimes, that they would have the potential for early release. I haven't heard about that many people getting released yet, even though the law has passed last year. Have you? I mean, that's the start, right? The passage of that proposition.
I haven't heard about that many people being released, but it's more so, the release gonna have to go through a judge. Mm-hmm. So you can't just be released because a new law is passed. You gotta go back and get because the order is whatever it said. However much time the judge gave you, it doesn't stop because the proposition passed. Mm-hmm. Now that means you're eligible to go see the judge again. Right. And get it reduced. But it's also, for those of us who are out here, when you try to apply for a job, now no longer is a drug possession a felony. That's big. Yeah. So, yeah.
We got a long way
I haven't seen the results of it yet. I'm not being funny, but we're gonna see what it does. Yeah. We're gonna see what it does. Yeah. And I guess they kind of like, because California, I don't know if you know that, but we opted to not give food stamps or financial aid to people with drug convictions. It's an option. Really? So now that 47 passed, the food stamps, you can get them again. As long as it wasn't selling. Yeah. So that's a long story, but. So that's
a step. That's a positive step.
Yeah.
Wow. So let's talk about a couple news stories. I want to get your opinion on before we talk about the book too. The book being From Crack to College and Vice Versa. Excellent read. Pick it up. I'm going to talk about it a ton more. But first, a couple of news stories. So this week, the U.S. Department of Justice released this report detailing the investigation and its findings about the judicial system, from the police to the courts and all of that in Ferguson, Missouri. So we know that Michael Brown was killed there by one of the police officers who was basically not held accountable for that. And the Justice Department also said that they're not going to pursue any charges against that officer. But in this report that they released, the findings were, quite frankly, horrible, very upsetting, and just unbelievable. Some of the things they said is that African Americans make up about 67% of the Ferguson population, but they account for 85% of all traffic stops, 90% of citations by the Ferguson Police Department, and 93% the Ferguson Police Department arrests. This is from 2012 to 2014. Many of these arrests leaving devastating consequences on the people who were, they found, very unjustly stopped in the first place, cited in the first place. Had you heard about this report, or have you read the report?
Yeah, I read it. I'm sorry, but if you look at the disproportionality, you said 67% is
black
and 93%. Well, you can go right to San Francisco, California. We're 5.6% of the population, but we're 60% of the county jail. That's far worse. The disproportionality is far worse closer to home.
Wow.
So that's why I think it's important that we want to look at other states and try to be in California like, we're so liberal, but it's things right here in our own backyard. We got worse statistics than Ferguson in the Bay Area.
So are you saying that the DOJ needs to do like a more robust countrywide national investigation into injustices against black people of color overall? It's not a Ferguson issue.
No, it's not a Ferguson issue. It's not a Ferguson issue.
Okay. Some of the other things that they found is that the courts in Ferguson are using arrest warrants to extort payments from people who, by threatening jail time. It's like, we have this warrant, we'll arrest you if you don't pay, if you don't pay this $20 ticket or something like that. And jail time that is served for people who do go to jail, whether it's justly or unjustly, they're not credited. The courts aren't even recording the time that they served.
Neither does Richmond, California.
Really?
Hello? No, you don't get to do time served for your thing. It's not the same as they take you to jail, but what they do is, if you don't have the money, it's a credit thing. And they start garnishing and everything and all that. So it's like, we tend to want to look at all these other cities. But have you been to traffic court in Richmond? Because they don't. They're very strict on you paying. When like in San Francisco, it's easier to get things dropped down, or you can do community service. Not here. And if you don't pay, it goes to it used to be where it's not a warrant anymore. It used to turn to a warrant. Now it's worse. To me, it's worse than a warrant because it starts elevating at the collections.
Oh wow!
And it stops you from getting anything. So it's like they do that here.
Horrible. So what are our steps to fix this?
I have no idea, honey.
Where do we start? First is awareness.
First
so
of all,
I had no idea these kind of numbers. Really? 67% of the population, 93% of the rest. You feel it. Like, as a black woman, I feel it.
But that's only
but
one. That's not even double.
That's
not even double. And I'm telling you, right here across the water is 12 times. So we don't have to go to Ferguson. People want to. That's what I want to say.
Yeah.
5 times 12 is 60 all day, right?
Right.
Okay, so that's not even double. It's 67%. It's not double. We're talking about 12 times the population rate, right across the water. So it's like, we don't need to go to other places for instances. This happening. It's not. First of all, what can we do to fix it? Is realize that it's not meant for us. So it's taking more steps that it is not meant for us to.
What is the it? You're saying it's not meant for us?
The system is meant for to tax us. Our lives pay for that. Without us getting pulled over, without us getting arrested, without us turning into drug addicts, man, a lot of people will be broke. So it's like, it's a business.
It's a prison system is a business.
It's a business.
It is, yeah.
So without people suffering, it does not flourish.
And it's a multi-billion-dollar business at that.
With a lot of people making 6 figures off of, so it's like there's really no interest in, except for
personal interest of those
in stopping that money flow.
Wow. Let me ask you this, because it all sparked with the murder of Michael Brown. And so this report has come out, no charges by the Department of Justice against the officer who killed Michael Brown. What does justice look like to you for Michael Brown and his family? What does justice look like? As we look at these kind of statistics, it's not a Michael Brown issue. Like you just said, it's not a Ferguson issue. How does a mom and a dad who's had a son or daughter fall victim to this, whether they're murdered or falsely incarcerated? What does justice look like to you?
How can you have justice when your child is gone? So justice is like an equal swap. It's something would be like an equality like move. So I can't see justice if my son is gone and I have to. So what would be the next best thing to justice? Man, my grandmother told me that laws can regulate the books, but not the heart.
Mm-hmm.
So I cannot make somebody who's not being watched treat me fairly
Mm-hmm.
without somebody watching. So that's the whole thing. I mean, you have to be more. I think the qualities that police officers that they are hiring them for maybe should not be that anymore.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe we should be looking at the curriculum. What are they teaching?
Yeah, right.
In academy, yeah.
And because I don't know if it's certain type of people that try out or what happens when you get this extra level of authority, but a lot of people can't handle it.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that. And it's like if you're dealing with an organization that's practicing different practices against certain people, of course you're gonna be scared when you run across them.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how it can be fixed other than more of us turning into police officers, and not, but we got some black police just as cold. Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah. So they can be just as bad as everybody else. Hold on.
I don't know how we're gonna do more. How do I say, people from the areas turning into law enforcement.
Okay.
And maybe Ferguson, go back to that. They need to all vote and get them people out of there. If they 67% of the population, don't take 51 to get them out.
There it is. Boom on that.
Right?
The next story. Yeah, there it is.
And start running themselves.
There it
and
is.
take it over. Just start taking over because the numbers are on their side.
Wow. The power of the vote. 51. That's all it takes.
That's all it takes. And you got 67. They can run with that.
Message. Hashtag. Okay. So next month, April, marks a year since 200 girls were kidnapped by Boko Haram members in Nigeria. A year since these more than 200 girls. And just this week, like many times since the kidnapping of those 200, 68 people, many of them kids were killed in an attack by the same group, Boko Haram in Nigeria. Did you hear about this latest incident? The 68 that was just, recently this past week.
I didn't hear about them, but I heard about
March.
earlier the week with some women that had because some women ran them off. I don't know exactly, but it was like a week ago. And they had them arms showing. I guess somebody's provided the women with pistols.
Yeah, they was like, you ain't coming in here.
Shotguns. They was big long ones. And they were able to ward them off.
Okay.
And capture a few of them.
I hadn't heard that story, but that's awesome. I hadn't heard the story about the 68 who were just killed yesterday. Not on our normal news. I went online, I researched that article. And I guess one of the things that I wanted to ask you about is, are you hearing about this in American mass media? And if well, let me just start there. Are you hearing about this?
No,
the status of the 200 girls? You said Facebook? Okay.
Just a little bit. And sometimes Yahoo feed, and I'll click on it, but not as a worthy news story. No.
Why aren't we talking about it?
Well, look, where are they from? Nigeria. So maybe there's not enough oil and stuff over there to be worried about.
Okay.
I don't know what resources they have, but it seems like we worry about victims in places that have resources for us. And if it's not a resourceful place. I mean, same thing with like Ebola, same thing with like Katrina. We don't get first responders when it's black. That's a thing. Those are black girls. That's why we ain't here. But I mean, because I couldn't imagine that happening anywhere else.
Yeah, and that's not responding
forward. I feel like we owe them to go do something.
What should we do?
We owe Africa.
Yeah.
But we took their labor force and never paid them nothing. So I mean, I thought that would be a good token to go over there and do something. But then there's a lot of people feel like that we shouldn't interfere, and I don't get when it's acceptable to interfere. Is when it's oil involved, maybe. Because that's the only time I see us interfering.
So let me ask you this. I mean, and we talked about getting out there and voting, the power of the vote. In the Ferguson situation here, we have elected officials in the House of Representatives, in the Senate, and in the White House. What should we be doing to say, America, to be saying, our government, you need to step in here. This is an issue that matters to us, and we need you to help resolve it?
Well, and I'm not trying to be sarcastic, but we as Black Americans got to learn how to deal with our own issues and speak up, because a lot of times they make it so hard just to want to help Black people. I had the hardest time. People like, why aren't you saying people of color, and why would you single that out, and that's reverse racism and all that stuff. So we need to get to a point where we don't have a problem with saying it loud ourselves first of all.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot of things going on with us that we do not say anything. You know.
Yeah.
So I think before we could really, as a nation, do something over there, we got to get a little bit more unity
Here, where we're at.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. A December story. So I'm going back just a little bit. In December, there was a story in the LA Weekly that detailed a cartoonist, Alana Pritchard's experience in the county jail. So she was arrested and incarcerated for about a month for violating a court order. So her attorney basically told her like she didn't have money to post bail, and she was saying, you know, horrible experience, and her attorney advised her to just document her experience, and she did it in the way that she knew how as a cartoonist, which is to draw pictures about it. So I saw these images that she drew from the LA Weekly, and a lot of them were vivid images of a very gruesome scene in the city and county jails in Los Angeles, with scummy, nasty, bug-infested bathrooms, not having any toilet paper or shampoo or just things to wash yourself or clean yourself, no food, sexual harassment both in the places where she is incarcerated, in the jails, and then also in transport back and forth to court when they would stop and pick up male prisoners, and you know they'd be, you know, even though they're over here and they're cuffed and they're in a separate area, just it made her feel very uncomfortable and unsafe, the things that they were saying to her, etc. Do you think that her experience is common for people who are incarcerated at a city or a county jail? Do you think that it's unique, or it's just,
no,
you know?
It's not unique. I mean, I hate to say it. And I mean, we got, I'm gonna censor this.
Do you?
I could care less about what
we in the backyard and I don't have no shoes on.
Right.
Do you?
I felt when I saw this that it was given so much attention, I kind of got sad. I don't know if it's because we see this all the time.
Who sees that all the time?
Me. I have.
Okay.
Millions of us. And why is it gruesome when this white woman draws a picture of it? That's what I want to know. Because it's been gruesome. I mean, the mass incarceration started 30 years ago. So she go to jail for a month. 30 years into this, when we've been locked down, this is a story. I don't get it.
So you said that this has been happening. This is not new.
It's jail.
It's jail, but I didn't know that.
Did you see I had to sort through shit in the penitentiary for a living?
I did. That was disgusting.
Okay.
Save it. We gonna talk about that. Save it, because I was like, really?
Yeah.
Like that? Okay. Save that. We gonna talk about that.
Jail. It's not a nice place.
But I don't think that everybody necessarily knows what a real jail experience is. Now, a lot of us, especially in the Black community, we know somebody that's been to jail. And just like you know somebody goes to war, they don't necessarily come home and talk about what it was really like.
Right.
So my thought when I saw this is like, if this is what it's really like, this is the first time somebody really painted a picture for me of what it's really like. Now we know jail ain't no joke, but I think that people really don't know. Or do you think that people really don't know?
I'm going to show you. This is the thing that's throwing me off. When you look at these pictures, you see a little, a little victimized white person. Now, would you think the same thing? Is this a big black man sitting here with all this stuff going on? That's, right. That's what I want to know. Could you replace the victim in the picture? And would it be so meaningful? You know? Because is it because
depends on the viewer?
Is it because it happened to her that it's a newsworthy, or because I can't see this being the news if I said this. The way things have, happen, or the way, or if you got somebody that any way fits the criminal America's stereotype of what a criminal is. Because you saying people don't know. There's people that want us to starve to death in jail. That don't believe we deserve 3 meals and all this stuff. So people are aware, but but maybe I can't say everybody's aware, but everybody doesn't feel like you, that people need better conditions in jail. A lot of people, you can read, I read one thing which I need to stop doing is reading those comments on Yahoo. You'd be surprised what people want for us. But a lot of people don't think you should have rights to anything. And so I just want to, because the way she painted herself, she looks so victimized.
She's a little itty bitty little, yeah.
Come on now, what did you do?
Right.
That's one more. Okay, I didn't hear what she did to get there.
I didn't hear what she
That's
did.
what I want. That's what
I didn't hear either.
Because if it was me, that's what they want to know.
Right.
What did you do?
But I didn't hear about this. It wasn't like it was in mass media or anything like that. I mean,
I saw it
to her credit, this was in the LA Weekly. That's where this story came from in December. So it is technically an alternative news source.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't major news
like
or anything like that. Yeah, like the SF Weekly, all of that, or the East Bay Express, or the weeklies and alternative publications that we have. So it wasn't major news. And, you know, my opinion, I'm glad that the LA Weekly chose to paint this picture, but your point is a good one.
I wish they would have painted a picture of the average inmate and see if we would have got that same empathetic
response. Yeah.
That's what I want to know. Because I think a lot of times that certain people are viewed as being strong enough to go through stuff. Mm-hmm. So she got herself so meekly, little bitty, little cartoon style little girl sitting here with all these. I mean, it's nothing funny.
Yeah.
The way she viewed herself here, okay, fine. But I wonder if you replaced that with somebody real, would it have the same impact? Mm-hmm.
Good thing to think about, y'all. I'll post a link to this on our Facebook and our Twitter. So check it out, y'all.
We should try switching it out and put somebody with a natural something and see what the response is. Yeah, would it be so sad?
Yeah, food for thought. Food for thought.